For all you that are just tuning in, you are watching Stay Vintage Tuned live stream where we are keeping the culture timeless. We have an amazing show for you today. Rip, can you let us know who our first guest is?
So we have an amazing lineup tonight, okay? And we have an amazing lineup of DJs and super producers, all right? So our first guest is a Grammy nominated, okay? Super producer, legendary beatsmith, songwriter. He's produced records for T.I., Jay-Z, Ludacris, R. Kelly, Paul Wall. I mean, that's just to name a few. I really am honored, and I want to welcome the super producer. I want to welcome to the State Vintage Tunes industry live stream, Khao.
What's happening? What's happening, brother?
Khao, how you doing, man?
I'm blessed, man. I'm blessed, man. It's good to be here.
I'm sure I did not do you any justice with that intro because you produce a lot of hit records, a lot of smashes, everything you've done with Grand Hustle, and and everything. How are you doing? And just talk to us about what you got going on. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Just quarantining, camping out in the house and grinding, running these different companies and making it work, man. But I've been blessed, man. I've been good, brother. Been good. Just of course got this single out, so working that and it's a movement, all together. So my hands are in so many different things, man. I seem like I'm more busier in this quarantine than even before. Crazy.
Well, before we get into your single, I would really love for you to talk about your organization, Bridge the Gap. I think it's something that's probably extremely pertinent right now, especially with your curriculum and what's happening with homeschooling. Please talk to our viewers about that.
Absolutely. So, for the most part, a lot of people right around 2008, they were like, okay, where did Khao go? Like, as far as the music side. And really it was one of those situations to where my dad passed away and my father would always tell me it's one thing to be successful and another thing to be significant and leave a legacy behind. And at that point, I started trying to figure out what could I do to become significant, and that led me on a quest to where I was being honored at a hip hop awards show. And the president of Martin Luther King's organization came to this event and apologized to all of us in the room for not passing the torch and said there was a lot we can learn from each other. And that's when I realized that my generation's been so busy chasing money that we are repeating the process. So I went on my quest. I said, okay, this is what needs to be done to lead to significance. So I ended up taking some time out. I got up with him, Dr. Steele, and said, hey, I want to learn from you too. And in '08, I ended up putting together a Million March to Vote right before Obama got in office. And that was really cool because I was interviewed by Don Lemon and got worldwide recognition. And that's what made me realize that there was so much more than music that I could do with my platform. So that's where Bridge the Gap came from. I ended up taking time out in the height of my career, investing over to the date over 1.5 million, and actually wrote a textbook that teaches character building and life skills through hip hop. And I produced songs for each chapter. And then I brought Megan Good in. So Megan Good and myself actually teaches the course via video. And I mean, it's been over 10 years now. We're in schools throughout the US. We're in schools in Nassau, Bahamas, in Africa. I received the Lifetime Achievement Award from President Obama, and we've stopped gang wars, man, suicide, so many things in the community. So, it's a blessing.
Wow, hold on. Khao loves the kids. Give it up for Khao, y'all.
Amazing. So much.
Appreciate it.
Well,
Absolutely.
I don't know if you remember someone named Yamil Little, but I went to college with him, and he was somebody who blasted all of your stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And he just really rallied a lot of people to support that project.
Definitely. Shout outs to Yamil. He definitely was on.
Hey man, shout out to the heavy hitters, man. Montgomery Action, man. What's up, baby?
Awesome. What up, baby?
Man, you got a family. You know what I mean? Hey man, why don't you give them a little history about how we met, man?
Oh man, that go way back, way back, man. Matter of fact, the story of how me and Hustle met, I actually break down when I'm talking to a lot of these kids and just artists that's up and coming. and artists that I mentor. You know, there's a lot of producers that, you know, came up under the wing, but I would always tell them about what it took to actually make things happen. And it started, you know, even on how the story of how I ended up linking up with Tip. Hustle was actually when me and Tip reconnected. Hustle, it was with Hustle. You know what I mean? So originally I was working radio in Alabama, doing whatever I could to make things happen. And I would always look out for the independent artists, you know what I mean? Even if, because back then independent wasn't cool. You know what I mean? They had a trash bin that they would put all the independent artist stuff in. And I would go in there as a DJ and go listen to the stuff. And that's how I met an artist that Jason Jeter, co-founder of Grand Hustle, was actually working with. And at the time, Jason was he was working at Patchwork. They had started a record label. And I ended up playing the record. We got really cool, supported them, lost contact. So years later, as I'm going through my production thing and being homeless, sleeping in my truck and going through all these different things, ghost producing. So now I'm back full circle. I'm back home in Montgomery. So Hustle's working on an album, right? And so, you know, in Alabama, it was Dr. Fingers, myself. Like, you know, originally before that, Rick Rock used to be in Montgomery as well. But, you know, so we were doing a lot of the production. So Hustle was like, hey, I'm rocking with you. I want you to do my whole album. So he was bringing in all these features. And then he came to me saying he wanted to get T.I. on the record. So I'm like, all right. I'm like, well, let me hear it. So he gave me the I'm Serious album because that was my first time hearing it. I'm like, yo, this dude's nice. And he was like, well, man, shoot, why don't you go? I don't feel like I ain't talking all that business talk. You go and work it out. So we go to Atlanta, sit down, and what Hustle? We talked him down a little bit, about $500.
Hey, man. Hey, that boy T.I. has always been a shrewd businessman.
Right.
But we negotiated for damn near 2 hours for them clearances.
Yep. We got it. We got $500 off the deal, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
And then at the end of it, I'm sitting there and I'm looking at the actual cover because at the time Hustle gave me a copy of the CD. So I kept hearing JG, but I didn't put together that JG was Jason Jeter. So me and Jason was cool, but it would always be a phone. So when we were sitting there, I looked at the actual cover and said, wait a minute. And the minute I was like, JC, like KO, and it was on from there. So really, like Hustle was one of those bridges, and that working on his album brought that together. And that's when Jay was like, look, man, we just left Arista. We're doing our own thing. And I'm like, well, look, I'm with it. You know, I'm like, whatever I can do to help. And that's when we started doing our part in Alabama to get, you know, to start working that album, and the rest was history.
So KO, before we get to the new single, can you tell us how to get that book? I think that's incredible that you talked about that book with Megan Good, right? How can our listeners, our viewers get a hold of that book? I think that's incredible.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. So Bridge the Gap, now it's a whole online online course. So we've evolved it. Let me see if I got the original. I might have an OG book in here somewhere. But yeah, now it's actually a full-blown course. So you can go to the website, which is Bridge DA, as in Developing Academics, DA Gap. So that's bridgedagap.org, Bridge the Gap. But the book, man, we was way ahead of our time. Like the textbook was colorful. We dealt with patience, self-determination, self-love, watching the company you keep, how to deal with losing loved ones, not making excuses in life. Man, like so many different things on that side. So
right,
produce banging tracks to it. So it's bridgedagap.org. And at that point, you can go on and get the course. And we also have curriculum, which is another piece to where I had so many superintendents saying, well, what do you have to help with the test scores? And I'm like, you know what? Let me create something. So I ended up taking 5 more years out and produced over 600 songs that teaches math, science, social studies, and English through hip hop. So I mean, literally kindergarten through 12th grade, I've turned into hip hop music videos of learning from trigonometry to learning your alphabets. You know, so 12 years of education I put into hip hop. And so that's being used in schools now as well. So yeah, I've been doing a lot on the education end, and then I came back full circle with the album as I was looking at the state of hip hop and where things are. And I'm like, man, there's a lot I know that I could bring to the table. And I know, I'm like, you know, I want to bring back that big sound. And I started hearing how hip hop, I mean, the South is so dominant in trap music, and what we did to the game is so huge now that you have artists in New York and artists in LA sounding like they from Decatur or, you know, Atlanta. So I'm like,
right.
And the Congo and India. Yep.
Yeah, everywhere. So I'm like, you know what? If we don't try to diversify this a little bit, then it can drain our sound as well. So I'm like, you know what? I want to create something. It's time to come back. And when I came back, man, everybody was excited. You know, we did the first single, Done With Her, with Gucci Mane, Lil Baby, YB in the Mirror. And what started off as one piece, it ended up becoming one of the biggest albums that hip hop is going to ever see. It's over 60 artists that I pulled, the biggest artists in hip hop, in the 14 tracks. So, I mean, this is an epic, like, classic situation. And I'm mixing legends with Who Has Next. And it's like, you know, just bringing everything together. But my West Coast song is called Unified. It's out as well, where I wanted to bring Bloods and Crips from different eras. So I brought, I got Problem on there. And then Nipsey did a verse for me. Rest in peace, Nip, three months before he passed. And he was really motivated to bridge the gap. So we were going to do some things together. But Nip got on there, and then Game and Snoop. And then I pulled in Mozzie and G Perico, because it's the new, you know, Blood and Crip. And then I brought in E40 and ended it with Ice-T. So that all on one record. But that's what hip hop is missing, like that excitement. Yes, and just giving everybody their sound back, you know. So it's my version of a West Coast. I have an East Coast record with Red and Meth and another surprise on there. But the album is crazy, man. And this is my new single, Scared of Us, you know. And it's crazy because I wasn't even about to release it. I was just, you know, and then something just hit me. The spirit was like, yo, you need to drop it. The people need it. And I dropped it, and man, we were on the top of the iTunes charts. We charted top 25 on Billboard just organically. Like, the record just been blowing up, man. So
well, KO, why don't you give us the pleasure of introducing the record for us? Let's play it.
No doubt. All right, y'all. So this is the new single, Scared of Us, featuring my brother T.I. This is our first time in 13 years working back together. So T.I., Joyner Lucas, Gray, Jay Morris, and yours truly, Scared of Us.
No justice, no peace on these streets. Can you hear the babies crying? Politicians and crooked police worrying about this mighty dollar. Instead of us, got another shot fire. They scared of us, they scared of us. If we ever get united, trouble.
Remember the late night in the dope hole with a handbag and a smoke pole. It's a cold game. You admittedly gave cocaine to the same people that you locked up, gave a license, and did the whole thing. That what the plan was the whole time. Lie, keep a nigga with a closed eye. Celebrating your holiday, pray to your God, cause you stole mine. Kill a nigga when they whistling at your women when you come and rape mine. Tan down our hero, you do the same thing, but you keep yours. Quick to hit a nigga with the Rico, see the bullshit through the peephole. Bust a L to the death, listen, shout it, all we got is IG code. Better stand up and get rolled over, hit the front line, let them go, soldier. How your partner, they some shooter, huh? How your nigga wanna kill son? Shoot a G-Key, shoot a 6'9", but do a damn thing to Joy Zimmerman. Okay, and all these black women come up missing. What the fuck is all the real niggas? How you niggas shooting in the club? Get your hard ass in the field, nigga. Okay, I be damn if I won't bust my wrist, my life, take my time. No, you niggas ain't revolution ready, I ain't even finna waste my time.
They scared of us, they scared of us, they scared of us. Got another shot fire. They scared of us, they scared of us, they scared of us. If we ever get united, trouble.
Get the Illuminati. Call the the White House to talk to somebody about a forecast on life. No sunny days, man, the bitch is cloudy. No need to be alarmed, get rowdy, call for backup, cops double up. Your project was to keep us in the hood, in other words, blinded, covered up. Not exposed to what we could have, got me irate, man, and I hate how the knowledge that we lack got us taken back to a slave-driven mind state. Willie Lynch is encrypted from the playbook that is scripted from. Brother say he'll die for a neighborhood that his mama just got evicted from. Another name that the cops lame, better lay low when it's close to dark. They bucked at me, threw the cuffs at me, I boycotted the bus like I was Rosa Parks. You say you wouldn't join the military, but you trapping hard, so you might as well. Another agent for the government when you in the hood serving clientele. Think about it, we in the hood trapping and loving it. The same way a soldier representing the government. Soldiers supply with the weapons and training. The same way we all with the drugs that we slanging. Gotta wake up, it's time, people. Everybody get in line, people. The system played us, you can't see it like I'm in a world full of blind people.
They scared of us, they scared of us, they scared of us. Got another shot fire. They scared of us, they scared of us, they scared of us. If we ever get united, trouble, 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 trouble,
A lot of trouble back when I was 10. Back when I used to have a lot of friends. Back when I ain't had no common sense. Back when I used to play Simon Says. I never listened to a thing my mama said. What I think for myself, so I pretend. Do I want to be rich? Well, it depends. I mean, I could be rich like Hov and Puff. I could be rich like Warren Buff. Or I can flip bricks and all them drugs. But that's more trouble for all of us. Sometimes I be thinking hard too much. Like, what if Triple X was hard to touch? Or what if Rosa never caught the bus? What if more parents was hard enough? And look, what if Kaepernick was an all black? And what if Trayvon and Zimmerman never crossed paths? What if Malcolm may have a dark past? What if Sean Bell never got engaged? What if Donald Trump never got his way? What if Dr. King have a lot to say? Make way for penalty. AKA the killing me. The KKK got denim sheets. Niggas can't even nail in peace. Niggas can't wait to get at me. Police can't wait to finish me. Throw dirt on my name and spit at me. They shoot me and say I'm finicky. I gotta pray for my enemies.
trouble, 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 trouble. Trouble, 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 great trouble.
They know what it is, they know we the truth. And when they seen pyramids, we were through. They drew up a scheme, the wipers are clean. They seen all that greatness and never recoup. Condition our minds to believe that we less than human. With a book to recite to the youth. Manipulation got us tight in the news. Every day we see it right in the news. Blasphemy that you'll blast to me. If I smash your sneaks and be a casualty, but won't flash the heat. When the crackers beat your black ass to sleep, you wanna ask for peace and then crash the streets. Strapped with the gasoline, burn the shit down to an ash and lead. He protest bad words if you're asking me. Cause when the party's over and your ass and lead, the cops still kill a nigga before the night's done. Careless if they shot the right one. We just record and let the lights run. All the images we seen, they got it in sight, son. Why you stunting on the ground with all the nice guns? Pull up with the stick, you got the light one. All these oppressors got to strike one. What we gonna do? Fight or run our mouths, nigga?
No justice, no peace on these streets. Can you hear the babies crying?
You're welcome.
Crying, crying.
Hey, man, that's hard, man. That's hard. That's hard, Case. Niggas dying over neighborhoods that your mama got evicted from. Oh my God.
Wow. For all those just tuning in, we just listened to the new single by Khao called Scared of Us, featuring T.I., Joyner Lucas, Gray, and Jay Morris. Yeah, man. Man, so heartfelt and so pertinent right now, you know, so pertinent. You are definitely a force to be reckoned with and a very important voice for everyone, I think, all people. And I'm so happy that you are doing what you're doing, Khao. I mean, for real, you're like the best of us. You know what I'm saying? So thank you. Keep that up, man.
So Khao, I got a question for you. So the reason why, first of all, it's an incredible record. I love everybody who's on the record. Right. I love it. You know, I love the fact that it's got this hard reggae, but street feeling, you know, and the content, it's incredible. It's an incredible record. So the reason why I brought up all the book and everything else that you're doing aside from production is because, like everybody else that's going to be on the call, started out either DJing or in the DJ world, becomes producers, and then does a lot of other entertainment or other business ventures in their career. So salute to you for doing everything and not staying in a box. But as far as the music goes, with this particular project, how did you approach musically What made you want to make that song sound the way it did, and the rest of the album? What was your musical approach for this project versus what you've produced in the past?
You know what? I'm glad you asked that, because a lot of producers that I've dealt with, and even like Big Crit, he's on the album, but he just saluted me in the way of, this album came about, the album's called Bad Brains Forever. So for a lot of people who don't know, Bad Brains is a legendary punk rock band. They originated punk rock in the early 70s, and they're all Black. They're brothers. So when I heard about them, and then, you know, a partner of mine who was a donor, he donated a huge amount of money to bridge the gap and did a lot of things. And he was just telling me this was his favorite band in the whole wide world. And he's like, yo, you gotta meet him. You gotta meet him. I work with him all the time. So I met him, and they were just telling me, just like, yo, we want our legacy to live on. They're like, we've been dealt a bad hand. Like, we got pulled away from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame at the last minute, like a day beforehand. They're like, they gave us a Constellation Prize and said, no, you guys are gonna be Afro punk. Kind of like, you know, that's how it all started, like a Negro League baseball or something. Like, here, we got rock and roll, you go here. So they didn't have a good shot. And I was like, you know what, anything I can do. And they were like, can you turn our catalog hip hop? I'm like, I don't know about that, but it's worth a try. So every song on this album, I took a little piece of their DNA, and I'm talking about punk rock, like punk rock, and I'm taking little hits of things, and I created this hip hop masterpiece with it. So but they also did some reggae too. So it was little pieces I was able to take and elements and just take it there. And so as I started creating the tracks, I was thinking, okay, there's certain records I want to have. Like, I knew I wanted a West Coast record, an East Coast record. I knew I wanted a political record. So this record was done almost 2 years ago. It's just so relevant.
Right.
So I already was putting the records together and was like, you know, okay, I want this kind of party record. So I brought Busta Rhymes back and mixed him with Lady LaSure and like just other things, you know, Spice on the hook. But like, I was pulling these elements together for the album. And yeah, that's how it went, man. So as I was creating, it's like, it just kind of all fell together just naturally, bro.
Incredible, man. Incredible. It sounds amazing. And it's a breath of fresh air, man. Salute to you. Thank you for giving the world this particular project.
Thank you, brother. For sure.
Sound like that.
Absolutely. Well, let me ask you this before we end our conversation. What can we do to help your movement move forward, as far as not only your album, but curriculum, as well as Bridge the Gap? What is needed right now, especially in this very dire time with the schools having problems opening, COVID? I saw on your site, I mean, you're really addressing all of the issues that are happening. What are some action points that we can make right now to help and support you?
I'm so glad you said that, because the biggest thing right now is the support of spreading the word and actually just people getting involved, because I was just a vessel that was used to create this, but it's literally a solution to what our kids are dealing with in this next generation. So I've been so much in the trenches, I'm not the guy that go and publicize, hey, I'm giving away this, hey, I'm doing this. It's like, no, we're actually saving kids' lives. So I hadn't had a chance to promote all the great things that's been being done, and I'm not that guy anyway to, hey, look at me. It's about the mission and my purpose is to do this. So any way we can spread the word of saying, hey, there's real solutions out here, check this out and support. And, you know, especially like you say, with the schools dealing with what they're dealing with now, that's the biggest blessing of all, you know, supporting the movement, supporting Bridge the Gap. Curriculum is KOOLRICULUM, like cool with a K, curriculum.com. But yeah, just support it, because it's, you know, it's just putting blood, sweat, and tears into the movement so we can all have something to use to help our kids, help our neighborhoods. You know, that's what it's about, you know. So any way we can get the word out, that's the biggest thing.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming to the Stay Vintage Tuned live stream. Thank you for keeping the culture timeless.